Hello, and welcome to 12-Minute Meditation, a weekly podcast from mindful.org that offers mindfulness meditations backed by neuroscience. If you've been practicing, you know that 12 minutes of meditation a day can yield benefits like increased attention, focus, creativity, calm, resilience, and compassion. The latest scientific research supports this knowledge. So, on this podcast, we invite you to do your 12-minute practice with guided meditations from today's leading mindfulness experts. There's a new practice each week and a new way to experience some of those benefits day to day. I'm Chelsea Arsenal, host of 12-Minute Meditation here at mindful.org. And this week, Tovi Scruggs-Hussein shares that the foundation of racial healing is emotional work. Most long-term healing involves deep exploration of emotions. Fortunately, many of us have come to recognize that the competencies we call emotional intelligence are the basis of meaningful and productive change. The ability to regulate emotions is a superpower. In this meditation, you'll explore the powerful role shame plays in our lives, particularly in the context of rationalized experiences. Shame is a deeply ingrained feeling, often making us feel unworthy or flawed. It's more than just guilt over actions. It's the belief that we ourselves are fundamentally flawed. By recognizing and naming this often overlooked emotion, we can begin to understand its impact on us. Shame can hold us back, preventing meaningful reflection and conversations about race. However, through this practice, we will cultivate resilience, moving through shame with empathy and self-compassion. This meditation will help you identify how shame feels in your body and mind, and unhook from its grip. By developing a compassionate relationship with yourself, you can foster greater emotional intelligence and healing. This session is an opportunity to build resilience, navigating shame to emerge more connected, courageous, and compassionate. Tovi was named one of the powerful women of mindfulness movement in 2021. From keynotes to workshops to in-depth leadership development, Tovi works as a coach to support conscious, connected, and courageous leaders. You can subscribe to 12-Minute Meditation while you're on mindful.org or wherever you find your favorite podcast. And if you're moved to leave us a review, we'd be grateful, and so will other listeners. See, your review helps them to decide whether 12-Minute Meditation is for them. But for now, for you, here's Tovi Scruggs-Hussein.
Welcome. Thank you for joining me in this sit. In this sit, we're going to cultivate shame resilience, building resilience in our response to shame, and enabling us to bring in greater self-compassion. I invite you to sit comfortably, gaze down, or close your eyes, and simply take 3 deep breaths, just signaling to your body that we're about to do this. And simply allow your breathing to settle at a rhythm that feels comfortable for you. Maybe engage in breathing that's a little bit slower than your regular, and maybe a little bit deeper than your regular. Let's be mindful to keep our breaths down into our stomach and not shallow in our lungs. Really good. can feel that depth in you and your breathing. Just noticing. Can you feel it too? Let's just sit together for a moment in silence. And as we prepare to recognize and engage with shame, I just want to take a moment to remind us that guilt and shame can feel very similar, but they're very different ideas and emotions. Guilt is driven by, I feel bad about what I did, or what I did was bad. Remember that shame is driven by the thought or feeling that I am bad about who I am. I feel bad about myself. I am not enough. I am bad. And while it's perfectly fine and healthy to feel guilt when we make a mistake or do something that's harmful to someone, there's really nothing healthy about feeling shame, about honest mistakes or missteps along the way of life. Shame is toxic, and it really can cause us to shrink and hide. Shame can cause us to behave in ways that can be harmful or unproductive. And even worse, simply not engage at all. Shame can make us feel victim to really harsh thoughts and judgments, especially about ourselves. So let us take a short journey together, exploring how shame shows up. And let us allow for the healing. Let us allow to go deep enough to engage in a level of healing together that will support us as we engage out in the world. So just returning to the breath, giving attention to the breath, the inhale and the exhale. Let us first just recognize what shame feels like in our bodies. I invite you to think of a time where you felt a sense of shame. And maybe you don't want to do something too triggering, that's too overwhelming. You just want something accessible. But trust yourself. What are you ready to engage with within yourself? Whatever has arisen for you to work with is probably what's worth working with. Yes, just bringing that time, that incident to mind, seeing it again, feeling it again. Where are you feeling the shame in your body? Notice the sensations that are indicating shame. Maybe you feel it in your jaw. Maybe you feel it in your shoulders. Maybe your breathing has become shallow. Maybe your stomach is tight. Palms are sweaty. Underarms sweaty. Just noticing. There's no right or wrong. This is simply your body and your emotions communicating with you. And how lovely it is to be able to notice and have this communication. And just opening our awareness to what's occurring in our bodies. And as you're exploring this memory of shame, noticing how it's showing up in your awareness, what might be underneath this feeling of shame? Breathe deeper into that. What might be underneath it? Is it the feeling of not enough? Is it the feeling of needing to be perfect? Is it the feeling of defensiveness, guardedness, needing to protect? What is underneath the shame? Just taking time to bring that into our awareness and to notice. Bringing in a sense of curiosity in the noticing. What is this teaching me about myself? What is this teaching me about my relationship to shame? What is causing me to feel that I am bad? Just be curious. Explore it. I can feel you really leaning in, and I am with you. We are in this together. We are in this together. You are not alone. And let us deepen in our healing around shame. Let us bring in and embrace compassion. What I love about compassion that I want to invite us into is, can you talk to yourself the way that you talk to someone you love? Perhaps thinking about what happened around shame or making a mistake. How would you lovingly speak to your friend, your colleague, or family member who was feeling the same way or made the same mistake? What would you say to them that would be supportive and kind and loving? And maybe even thinking about why it's so easy to somehow forgive someone we love for the same action, and yet we are so hard on ourselves. Often it's because it's possible to separate the mistake or misstep or wrongdoing from the person that we love. You know that they did it, but you see them as more than the act. Do this for yourself. See yourself as more than the act. See yourself as more than the wrongdoing. Let yourself off the hook. And we lean into, what can this experience teach me? What can I learn from this so that I can not repeat it, so that I can grow from it? Because remember, it's changing a behavior. Not over identifying with not being good. So as we start to close, returning to the breath, anchoring to the breath, bringing it deeper and slower into the belly, allowing for its fullness. And simply being present to what has arisen in this sit together. And maybe you want to place your hand over your chest and just love you in this moment. Love you. We've explored shame together. We've welcomed and embraced compassion for self together. We have allowed for healing together. We are fortunate to be able to heal together. Let us be able to anchor to this moment of forgiving ourselves and extending compassion to ourselves now and in the future. we will more than likely make mistakes. And we can practice resilience around our mistakes and anchor to our goodness. Thank you for sitting with me today.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of 12-Minute Meditation from mindful.org. I hope you enjoyed practicing with us today. We'll be back in 7 days with another meditation practice to enrich your journey. But in the meantime, stay connected by signing up for our free newsletter at mindful.org/sign-up for compelling insights and actionable ideas to enrich your everyday life. That's mindful.org/signup.